as far as you cornering Nate last weekend against Tarec Saffiedine, unfortunately Nate lost his belt to a unanimous decision. Most of the highlights that people saw was the huge, gigantic bruise he had on his leg. How's his health, and how do you think his spirits are after being in this corner last weekend?
Oh, he's heartbroken. You know, I mean, that was a big one for him.
Yeah.
What went wrong? I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say that we would ever make the mistake of overlooking anybody in this sport, because I always say we'll never overlook anybody, and I don't think Nate did. But I think, as far as, you know, coaching, training partners, media, fans, friends, everybody looked past him.
I think a lot of people
didn't overlook him. He was a tough guy, but it's like, well, what's going to happen next? George is his friend. What happens if they are supposed to fight? You know, and I just think there was a lot of distraction, a lot of, and whether, you know, it's not like we sat around and talked about him. We were talking about Tarec, but you know, that Nate started off night. You know, there's a lot of things you can attribute it to, but basically you just got to take your hat off to Tarec Saffiedine, because I think he was a 3 or 4 to 1 underdog. Yeah. If they fought 100 times, I think Nate would win the next 100 times. I think Nate's, you know, twice the fighter as Tarec, and that's, I don't mean to disrespect by that. I just think Nate is the better fighter. All around, You know, I bet my house on him in a rematch. You know, but Tarec fought the fight of his life, and, you know, hats off to him. He deserves it.
And I think a lot of problems that people thought of going into Nate's fight is so many people were talking about it, even when he did interviews, that, oh, he's automatically signed to the UFC, so this is just a stepping stone. I think that's, like you said, a lot of the fans just overlooked it, and that, like, oh, well, once he beats Tarec and basically holds on to and puts the Strikeforce belt up in his living room, I'll go into the UFC, and then we'll see what happens.
You know, and that was a mistake. Obviously, you know, like I said, I don't ever overlook anybody, man. Anything can happen in this sport, but I think we definitely were thinking about what's next more than, and not Nate. You know, I just think I take blame for that as coach. You know, as you know, the only thing next is what's in front of you. So, you know.
Is there anybody that you'd like to see him maybe face in the UFC coming back into the UFC? Like,
it's funny you ask, because I really wanted him before George and Diaz was announced to call out Diaz. That was the last Strikeforce champ, and he was coming off his suspension. I'm like, ask for Nick Diaz. I think that'd be a great fight.
Well, you never know. I suppose that there's going to be a media conference next week, so if he don't show up, maybe Nate can still get the fight.
But I'd like to see him fight somebody like that, high profile, somebody that's right in the mix, because it was a setback losing to Tarec, but I believe that Nate is the best welterweight in the world. You know, what I saw in training, you know, training with guys like Cowboy, you know, lighter than him, you know, but, you know, some of the other guys we had in there, Thatch, up-and-comers like that, I don't see anybody in the world beating Nate at 170.
Yeah, and I think that's...
Tarec Saffiedine.
Yeah, exactly, including him again,